Hi everybody, my name's Theresa and I'm a movement artist with the PACE program in Lafayette, Louisiana. Today we're going to learn about the environment. So we'll learn about what that means. We're also going to learn about a special kind of movement called a gesture. And at the end of our lesson, we will take our gesture moves and we'll create a dance about the environment. The only thing that you'll need for your lesson today is enough space to move safely. And don't forget that you can pause your lesson at any time that you need. Let's get started by warming up our bodies and getting them ready to do some moves. So we'll stand up and you can follow along with me. Okay, we'll start our warm up with our feet just right underneath our hips. Good, stretching our toes wide out on the floor. Let's shake our hands out a little bit. We can open, close, open, close. One more, open big wide and close. And we'll wiggle our fingers. Good, now wiggle your toes. And spread your toes out nice and wide. And reach your feet down through the ground. And we'll reach our head up through the ceiling. Oh, I'm reaching one hand up. And now we'll curve sideways. Roll forward. And curve to the other side. Good, keep going. One more. Now, a circle that we're making with our arm and our torso. Get a little bit bigger each time. Good, last one. Be nice and gentle. All right. Feet reaching down through the floor and reaching up through the ceiling. Reaching one or your other arm. Good. And now we're going to circle our toes over the other way. A little bit bigger each time. And we can take some nice deep breaths. Last one. Good. Our shoulders out, take our feet a little bit wider. Point our toes to the side. We're going to reach our hands down. And now we're going to straighten our knees and reach up. So high up to our toes. Good. Let's try that again. Reaching down. Good. And let's take our hand to the side. Reach our body to the side. And turn our toes. Now we're going to bring our torso forward over our leg. Nice deep breath. And we'll walk our hands and our feet to face the other direction. And back to the center. And we'll slowly roll up. All right, great job. All right, before we start learning about the environment, we're going to talk about special kinds of moves called gestures. And they're one of my favorite kinds of moves because they can do so many things. And people do gestures all the time. Actually, I'm gesturing right now with my hands. You couldn't see it because it wasn't on the screen. But a lot of times when we're talking to each other, we use our gestures to kind of help us say what we're trying to say. So I want to see if you guys know some gestures. So Gestures can help us say things. They're moves that can help us say things. So if I asked you a move that means yes, if you wanted to say yes, could you think of a gesture that says yes? Go ahead and do it if you know that one. You might have done a gesture like this. Nodding also means yes. Or you might have done a gesture like this. This is also a gesture that could mean yes. Or this one could mean good job. What about a gesture that says no? Shaking your head might mean a way to do no. That might mean a way to do no. Okay, what about a gesture that means come here? How would you say come here with a gesture? Okay, there might be some different ways that we could do it. We might use two hands to say come here, or one to say come here. If there was a friend that was like way far away from us, we might do a gesture like this, a big gesture so they could see it, right? That might be a different way to say come here than if someone was right next to us, or if we were, trying to ask them to come here quietly in a way. We could do it like this, right? Okay, gestures can also show us doing things. So not only saying something to each other, but we can use a gesture to show how we could do things. So could you think of a gesture for eating, for a move that could show eating? We might do like that. Now, if we just use our face, we call that an expression. We could do a gesture like this for eating, right? Or depending on what we're eating, maybe like that for eating too, right? Could you think of a gesture for drinking? Go ahead and do a gesture for drinking if you can think of a gesture for drinking. Okay, you might do a gesture like that. Or you might be drinking some coffee, so you might do your gesture like this because you could be holding a mug, right? Okay. Gestures can also describe things. So when we describe things, we can tell what things are like, and we can use gestures to help us do that. So if you were going to show me that something was very big, how could you gesture to show that something is big? Okay, you might gesture like that, right? Or like that. That might be a gesture for tall. What if something was small? How could you make a gesture to show something was small? Okay, you might do that one or that one. What if you were doing a gesture to tell that something was quiet? You could do a gesture like that, and that's a gesture to do quiet. So we can do lots of gestures for lots of different things. Let's try one more. What if something was fuzzy? How would you use a gesture to show fuzzy? You might do it, I don't know, that meant fuzzy to me, or I was thinking fuzzy this way, like if I was feeling some fuzzy fur. Okay, so we're going to use some gestures today while we talk about the environment. So what is the environment? Do you guys know what the environment is? The environment is the physical surroundings of the earth. They're all of the things that are around us. So that means living things and non-living things. Okay, so our environment is everything that's all around us. So let's think of a gesture for all around us. Can you try that gesture with me? All around us. The environment is all around us. That includes the air that we breathe. Let's do a gesture for breathing air. Let's try that one. I love to breathe air. Let's try that one again. Breathing the air around us, also all the water around us. Could you think of a gesture for water? You could do a gesture for water. Use that one for water. Let's think about maybe the gesture like water that falls down from the sky, but it could also be water in oceans and lakes and rivers. And our environment includes the land around us. So let's think of a gesture. Maybe we could think of some flat land, some land around us like that. So the environment is all around us. You can do that with me. It includes the air that we breathe in our atmosphere. It includes the water in the earth, right? We could use water that way. And it includes the land. Okay. So I actually wanted to show you guys some pictures of the environment around me, because the next thing we're going to talk about is how people can change the environment. So our environment changes a lot, and sometimes we can change it. I just changed the environment in this room, and what I did was I brought in some of my tools that I use for movement to help me stretch and warm up and get my muscles ready to move. So I have a picture of my little owl basket and my yoga mat and my foam roller. Those are all tools that I use for movement. And since this is the environment, this room is the environment that I use to do my movement, I thought it would be good to have some tools for that in my environment. So our environment can be things that are living, like people, right, or plants, but it can also be things that are not living, like our houses, right, and tools that we might use. Here are some things in my environment in my backyard. I went into my backyard this morning and I saw some living things in my environment that I thought were really exciting. The first thing that I saw was this pecan tree. So I have a pecan tree in my backyard, and the squirrels in my backyard like to get the pecans that fall from the pecan tree. So they take the pecans to eat them, and that's a way that the squirrels change their environment. So animals can change their environment too. Here is another animal that I saw in my environment, in my backyard today. I saw this spider, and the spider created a home in my backyard. So that changed the environment from what it was yesterday. Yesterday I didn't see that spider or that spider web, and she created that web. She created a home. So animals can create homes. Some animals dig holes in the ground or build nests. So those are ways that animals can change the environment. Another way that I change the environment in the backyard is that I planted some flowers, and I was so excited yesterday when I noticed that my sunflowers were sprouting. So I planted some sunflower seeds so that I would have some beautiful sunflowers to look at in my environment. And I'm so excited to see that they started growing. Okay, so let's think again about some gestures that we could do to show some of those things, right? So we know that we can have living things in our environment like animals. So I'm thinking of the squirrel that I was telling you about. And maybe I could do a little gesture for a squirrel scurrying. Ooh, maybe more like that. That feels a little more like a squirrel. Okay, all right. So a little squirrel gesture. So living things can be in our environment. Also non-living things like our homes. So maybe we could do a roof over our head to show a gesture for our homes. So people can change their environment by doing different things. So we can plant trees, and we can plant flowers and plants, but also food that we can grow so that we can eat, right? So maybe we can think of a, let's see, let's do a gesture where, so to plant my sunflower seeds, I had to dig a hole. So I'm digging, I'm gesturing like I'm doing something. I'm showing you that I'm digging a hole. Now I have to take my sunflower seed and I put it in. And then I had to cover it back up with some dirt and do some little water that way. Okay, that was a lot of gestures to show you that. So digging a hole, and we'll put in, boop. I like to make the sound too. We'll put in our sunflower seed. Okay, so we can change the environment in positive ways. Another thing that people can do that is good for the environment is to clean up around us, right? We want to have air that's clean to breathe so that we can stay healthy, and we want to have good clean water to drink, right? So by cleaning up and not littering, that's a way that we can help the environment too. So maybe we could think of, could you think of a gesture for cleaning up? You might think about like picking up the toys in your room. So like you could pick them up and I don't know, maybe put some laundry in a laundry basket and some toys in a toy box, right? So that could be some gesture for picking up. Maybe sweeping could be a gesture too. Like if you had a broom and you were sweeping, that's how I sweep. Another way that people change their environment is by creating things, right? So some things in our environment were natural, they were made by nature, but some things in our environment were made by people. Like the house that I live in was made by people. So people changed the environment. They went and got the wood from some trees somewhere and took the wood to create the house that I live in, right? So people can create things. There are lots of things that are created by people in our environment, like roads, the roads that we drive on. Could you think of a gesture? Well, you guys don't drive yet, you're too young. Could you think of a gesture for a road? Maybe like a windy road like this, right? Or maybe like, cars are another thing in our environment that is created by people. Okay, so maybe a gesture for like a car. So it's really important for us to make sure that our environment is nice and that we have a nice place to live. Okay, so we can also have the power to change our environment. So if we wanted to say that we have the power to change our environment, that's something important to remember. Could you think of a gesture for like power? When I think of power, I might think of being strong. So I could do a gesture like this, or power because we have the power to think about how we could change our environment. So maybe we could do both of those. Those are some gestures. Changing our environment. Change. What's a good gesture for change? I might do a gesture like this. I don't know. It feels like change to me. Okay, so we have the power to change our environment. And we want to make our environment a nice place for us to live, for all living things to live, right? So what could be a gesture for that? Let's see. I can have a gesture. Oh, this feels like a gesture for all. A nice place to live. That's pretty nice. We want a nice place to live for all living things on our planet. Okay, we've got a lot of gestures going on. Now let's see if we can put all of those gestures into a dance. Okay, so if you're not already standing up, you can stand back up, and we're going to put some of those gestures that we use to describe the things that we know about our environment together. So we'll create like a little dance about the environment. First of all, we know our environment is all around us. It's everything that's around us. And we did a gesture kind of like this. Now when we make a dance, we could just use gestures like that, or we could add on to the gestures or change them in some ways to make them more dancey. So we're going to be a little dancey today. So we did a gesture all around us like this. Maybe we can do all around us. Here's another way to do around. Aha, let's put those together. So our environment is everything that's all around us. It includes the air that we breathe, the water around us like in oceans, lakes, and rivers, and the land. All right, so our environment is all around us. It's our air, water, and the land. It includes the living things like animals. Remember we did a gesture for our squirrel. Let's do a squirrel gesture. Oh, or that's like a gesture like people running. Actually, that's a shape. Let's do a squirrel. I like kicking that leg up though. Let's kick that leg up. So living things like a squirrel or a person. And something a person might do. Or non-living things like the house that we live in. That'll be a gesture for like a roof over our head. Okay, let's try all of that. So our environment is all around us. It's the air that we breathe, and the water, and the land. It includes living things like squirrels, and what's this one for? People, that's right, And living things, oh, I messed up. I forgot non-living things like our houses. So people can change their environment. So what are some ways that we said we know we can change our environment? We can change our environment by cleaning up. We did a sweeping gesture. I don't think that's how I really sweep. So maybe like we could do a sweep like that. Add a little jump to our sweeping gesture. We can sweep. We said we could also plant trees and flowers and food to eat, right? So we did a digging gesture so that we could plant a seed. Whoa, okay, excellent. So let's try those again. So we know that we can change our environment. We can help make our environment nice by cleaning up, and we can plant things so that we have food to eat and beautiful flowers to look at. Also, we have the power to change the environment. So we did a gesture for the power to change our environment so that we have a nice place to live. I used a little level with this one. So we have the power to change our environment so we have a nice place to live. Okay, let's try all of those moves with some music. We'll put them together and see if we can just do the moves this time. Okay, here we go. Let's do our dance about the environment. thanks for dancing with me today and learning about our environment and learning about gestures. Don't forget, we'll be posting a new lesson every day at 10 o'clock on the Acadiana Center for the Arts YouTube channel. We have lessons for kindergarten, first and second grades, and each lesson is tied to the academic curriculum. You can also get these lessons on AOC as part of the Learn United program on Cox Channel 16 or LUS Channel 4. Kindergarten lessons air at 8 and first and second grade lessons air at 9 o'clock. Some lessons will be in visual arts and some will be in creative movement. So be sure to come back and make art with us tomorrow. If you are interested in supporting programs like this, you can visit Acadiana Center for the Arts.org, the nonprofit who manages the PACE program for Lafayette Parish School System. Spread the word, share our videos, and keep making art. Thanks, guys. I'll see you next time. Bye-bye.